Great to have you. This is the South African Morning. Let's bring you the story now. The Public Protector's Office says that President Cyril Ramaphosa has written to Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane informing her of his intention to suspend her. Mkhwebane has been given 10 working days to provide reasons as to why President Ramaphosa should not proceed with the suspension. So let's discuss this even further. Accountability Now Director Advocate Paul Hoffman joins us now for this conversation. Always a pleasure talking to you, Paul. Good morning to you. What are some of the options on the table here for Busisiwe Mkhwebane? She has 10 days to explain why she should not be fired, or rather suspended.
Yes, I'm afraid that she's going to need every one of the 10 days, because it's very clear that she should be suspended in the discretion of the President, which is afforded him by Section 194 of the Constitution. At the moment, she is facing perjury charges relating to affidavits she filed in the Constitutional Court in the course of her work. The Constitutional Court has found that she lied on oath, and the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Tumelo Mothotoane, has, after representations by her, indicated that the perjury charges must proceed because there are reasonable prospects of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed perjury. She's also facing striking off proceedings at the instance of the Legal Practice Council, because advocates are not meant to mislead courts, and the finding of the Constitutional Court implicating her in perjury is not something that an advocate on the roll of advocates should be allowed to do. As you know, the DA has for a very long time been seeking to impugn her competence and indeed her honesty in the discharge of her duties, and this is the process that is going to unfold in Parliament in terms of new rules that have the stamp of approval of the Constitutional Court. So the only excuse that she can really try for now is that, like Jacob Zuma, she wants to rescind the Constitutional Court's order in the dispute between her and Parliament. She's got an uphill battle in that regard, and I expect that the President will, after the 10 days and after considering whatever she puts up, he will suspend her.
Yeah. But Paul, was she really given, enough time or enough, in terms of the 10 days? She says she didn't receive that email with which the President says she was CC'd in response, of course, to the National Assembly Speaker, of course, that's Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. She says that her office writing that letter saying it almost seems like a rushed process, because she had to only learn from news sources that she had been given 10 days to respond.
I'm afraid that that comes straight out of the Stalingrad strategy playbook. Her attorneys have already tried, because they are seeking to rescind, which is the same stunt as was pulled unsuccessfully by Jacob Zuma after he was locked up. They're seeking to rescind the Constitutional Court order, which really gives the green light to the parliamentary process. So I'm afraid the 10 days is more than enough. In fact, she's not entitled to any notice. The President could, if he so chose, and if he has regard to the surrounding circumstances that I've already sketched in this interview, he could, without notice to her, suspend her. What he has in fact done is given her the opportunity of saying why she shouldn't be suspended, and I'm afraid she is going to have to become exceedingly imaginative in order to do so. She's asked already that while the rescission application is pending in the Constitutional Court, everything be put on hold. Her attorneys should know that if she wants that to happen, she should ask for a temporary interdict. She hasn't asked for a temporary interdict, which suggests to me that she knows that she's not entitled to get a temporary interdict. And so she's really throwing herself on the mercy of Parliament and of the President in the hope that some sort of political solution to what is really a legal problem can be arrived at. The time is long overdue for her to be suspended. She is a blot on the landscape of the Chapter 9 institutions.
So while we, of course, wait on the president, who's awaiting her response as to why she should not be suspended, we know that Parliament will continue with those impeachment processes. I suppose for clarity's sake, what do they then look like? Because the National Assembly Speaker did write to the president saying they do, of course, plan to continue with those parliamentary processes in considering impeachment processes against the public protector. So what would they then look like at this stage?
Yes, it is in terms of the new rules that were specially made to deal with this case, and it really amounts to a hearing before Parliament in which she is called upon to deal with the complaints against her. And the very first complaint against her was made by Accountability Now in January 2017, when we caught her lying to us. And we got wind from the correspondence that she was running the Office of the Public Protector in a way that does not accord with the legislation that controls the work of the Public Protector. And we sought to get her to answer us in relation to this, and she very airily waved us away, saying that she wasn't prepared to investigate herself. We complained to the the Justice Portfolio Committee in Parliament, and they simply have avoided dealing with it. But the DA has had better luck. Its complaint is now going to be the subject of a hearing in which she is allowed to be legally represented. That is something that the Constitutional Court permitted her in the appeal proceedings, which she wants to have rescinded.
All right, Paul, we'll have to leave a conversation there. Thank you for speaking to us, giving some clarity and your perspective on this matter. Of course, the president asking the public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, to give reasons as to why she should not be suspending that time amounting to 10 days. She has, of course, said that she hadn't received that letter in time, only relying on news sources for that notification. But, of course, the Parliament also writing to the president that they will be continuing with that impeachment process. In the next